Hi, and welcome to my first Facebook Live workshop. This one is called How to Plan and Reach Your Goals in 2018. I'm really excited to be doing this. It's a very new endeavor for me. So if you're having any trouble with hearing or any technical glitches, please let me know. I will try to fix them. I can't guarantee that, but I will definitely try to fix them. So I just wanted to ask before we get started is, what do you want to achieve in this year? Have you made resolutions? Have you set goals for 2018? It's okay if you haven't. By the end of this workshop, you will be able to plan and reach all of those goals that you make today for the rest of the year. All right, so just before we get started, I just would like you to please check in, say hello, and tell me a little bit about where you're from. A little bit about me. I'm Suzanne Davis. I'm an online academic writing tutor, and I teach the writing skills that will help students in college, in graduate school, and going into their profession. And I'm from New York State. I live here where it's a nice, warm winter day. Well, relatively warm. It's not below 0 Fahrenheit. So that's warm for here. But let's see. Okay, I think we'll get started. All right, so what I'm going to teach you today is about setting up your goals and then dividing them into smaller goals so that you can divide them into a plan that will help you succeed meeting all of those goals that you've created for the year. But I'm going to take you through a process where the first thing you do is actually not start with the goal planning, but you start with creating a vision. Now, a vision is a little bit different than a goal because it's something where you are imagining what you want your life to be like in the long term. Do you want your life to be like you're a famous author? Do you want your life to be that you are working as the head of a nonprofit organization? This is a time in which you imagine your life, not just within this year, but going even long-term into the future, maybe 5, 10, maybe even to the end of your lifetime. That's really about creating a vision. So before you start with any goal planning for the year, what you really want to do is start with brainstorming ideas that fit your vision. So, for example, I like to write. So I have this vision of writing in this home office that looks right out onto this beautiful lake. I've even picked the lake. It's Lake George, New York. And I write, but early in the morning, I actually go swimming first. Then I come back and I write. And I've gotten several books on the New York Times bestseller list. Okay, it's a big dream, but that's what a vision is. A vision is a big dream that you're trying to make happen. It's something that's inspiring to you. So before you start working on those goals, really take that time and build your vision. But after you have that vision, I want you to start thinking about goals for this year. And when I talk about yearly goals, I talk about them in 3 different areas: academic goals, personal goals, and professional goals. So an example of a good academic goal could be getting into the university or graduate school of your choice, maybe getting straight A's, maybe getting a high score on a standardized test, Those are all good examples of academic goals you could have. A personal goal could be something like you want to learn for a hobby. It could be learning how to bake gluten-free vegan desserts, or how to hike a mountain, or hiking several mountains this summer. Or it could be something about improving personal relationships or making 10 new friends this year. There's all kinds of things that you can look at to develop personally. So I encourage you to take some time with that and think through things that are meaningful to you. And then professional goals. So for me, since my big vision is to be a best-selling writer, a good professional goal for me this year would be to publish a book. That's a good professional goal for me. But once I have an idea of that as a yearly goal, I like to actually make it a little bit harder. One of the common things that I do with goal planning, and I forget where I learned this technique, but it's called doubling your goals. So if my goal is to publish one book this year, then I would double that, so that now I have to publish 2 books for the year. That's a little bit higher, but I'm going to keep that as my yearly goal. Okay, so once you have your yearly, your academic, personal, and professional goals, I want you to start thinking about how to break them up into something smaller. So usually when we break goals up into smaller sizes, we tend to think of them in monthly or maybe 60-day or 90-day goals, sometimes even half-a-year goals. I like to break it down into at least a 90-day goal, but my preference always has been to write monthly goals, especially when you're working on something that's for a full year. But when you choose these goals, the common wisdom is to have something called a SMART goal. Are you familiar with SMART? Does everybody know what a SMART goal is? Say yes or no in the chat if you know what a SMART goal is. Okay. A SMART goal, SMART is an acronym, and the first letter for SMART, S, stands for specific. M stands for measurable. A stands for achievable. R stands for relevant. And T stands for time-bound. So a SMART goal is specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. So an example of a SMART goal for me, since my yearly goal is to write 2 books and get 2 books published, then a SMART goal for me would be to write a first draft of a book in 3 months. Okay, so I have a specific goal. It's measurable. It's measurable as far as you can see. Either I write the first draft or I don't. It's achievable, because that's about a writing pace that I can keep. Let's see, it is relevant. It's definitely relevant to my yearly goal, and it's very relevant to my vision of being a best-selling writer. So, and then it's time-bound. I set it up for 3 months. But what I recommend is actually what I call a SMART plus goal, which is where you take that goal that is achievable and you just up it a little bit. So for me, if I want to make this from a SMART goal to a SMART plus goal, what I'm going to do is, instead of saying, write my first draft in 3 months, I'm going to make it 2 months. So writing a first draft in 2 months. No sweat. Very easy. Actually, that is pretty hard for me. So that's a big goal, but I can stretch myself, and I like to push myself and stretch. to go further than I normally think I can. So that's a SMART goal, SMART Plus goal. Next, I want to think about how to break that up even more. I could turn that into a monthly goal. So if the average novel is 80,000 words, I could have, for my first month, write 40,000 words in a month and write 40,000 words in the second month. So that's really easy. No problem whatsoever. Yeah. Okay, that's a big demand, but I'm going to go for it. Here I am. It's January 10th, and I'm saying that now. In 2 months, I'm going to have a first draft. So hold me to that. All right, so I have here, we've talked about, just for a quick review, we've talked about creating a vision, how this is something as you see your life long term. And it's usually this big dream. That's a vision. Setting yearly goals, which aren't just achievable goals. You want to stretch those goals a little bit higher. And then we talked about breaking those up into smaller goals. So like your monthly, your 60, your 90-day goals. Do you have any questions so far about what we've covered here? All right, I'm looking. Oh, Terry, thanks for saying that I can do it. All right, well, Terry, I know you will keep me to this. I know you will. Okay, so let's move on, because this is really where you start taking all of these goals and putting them into an actual plan. So once you have monthly goals, you want to start breaking them into a weekly plan. Now, what I do for this is I use a weekly study planner, and for this year I actually created one. And in the planner that I have, I created a section on each week, a section to set a weekly goal or goals, a section to put deadlines, and then a section which has all the days of the week and the things that you would do for each day of the week. And then I even have a section on study tips. So I have a study tip there for each week. Okay, Terry, I see you have a question. Let me see. If it is a business, how do you factor in things out of my control? You don't really factor those in. You can allow for extra time. You can think of possible things that might come up, and that's what I would suggest, brainstorming that and trying to troubleshoot that a little bit. But plans do go awry, and things happen that we really can't see coming. I know that. And so then it's a matter of trying to pick up where you were and then recalculate that goal so that you can achieve it. So if it's a business one, and say you've lost a bunch of clients, because I know you're an online tutor, and you had a goal of having a certain amount of clients at the end of the year. If you've lost like half of your clients, well, then you're going to have to factor in, for each month, you're going to have to do more things to try and pick up and make up what you've lost. But you can still keep that yearly goal. It's just you're then modifying the smaller goals along. Does that answer your question, Terry? Okay. If it hasn't, ask me again towards the end, and I'll see if I can help you more specifically. Okay. So we were up to weekly schedules. Oh, yes. So yes, it did answer your question. Okay. All right. So for weekly goals, Well, let's use Terry for an example for a minute. So if Terry's got a business goal for the year and she's had to change it so that she's doing extra things per month, one of the things that I recommend is to, when you plan your goals, plan by reevaluate them every month. So if you've had, like I might have for my goal of 2 months having written a first draft, if something comes up and I can't write for 2 weeks, then I'm going to have to recalculate that as to how many words I would be writing each day or each week in order to try and make that up, which is why I always recommend doing things by a month-to-month basis. When you have to make changes like that, that helps. And then from those months when I do that, so for January, I would pick 4 goals, or at least 4 goals that are going to help me meet that monthly goal. And then that's how I determine what I'm going to do for each week. That determines the actions of what I might have to study, the actions I might have to take in my personal life, and the professional actions I need to take. So like you, I'm an online tutor, so I have a certain monthly goal that I'm trying to meet. I have a weekly goal, and then that weekly goal helps me determine exactly what I need to do on different days to meet that weekly goal there. And yes, like you, I have had to change things around. So that's what happens, unfortunately. All right, but what I did this year was I did create a new study planner because I just wanted something that suited my needs and something that I thought would suit a lot of other people, especially my students. So this planner, you'll find a link to it in the description. At the end of this video, I will also put a link in there again. But it takes you through the whole process of deciding your yearly goals, your monthly goals, and then breaking them down up onto that weekly section. And my favorite part of the weekly sections is that I did include a tip for each week. So there's 52 study tips in this planner. They're all very different. I keep losing my earpiece. I'm sorry. Now I'm losing both of them. Okay, so there's 52 study tips. They're all very, very different. Some of them are a little bit more about maybe motivation. Some of them are more concrete about a specific study strategy. But I encourage you to try them all because different things work for different people, and it's great to have a variety of things to choose from. So please check that out. And I also said before this, at the beginning of this, I'm sorry, that I was doing a giveaway, which I am. I'm giving away a free 30-minute session. It's a writing consultation where I help you revise any piece of writing. And so that could be a piece of creative writing. It could be a piece of academic writing, nonfiction, professional writing you're doing, even a blog post. And I will help you for 30 minutes, work on that, and revise it so that at the end you will have something that you're really proud of. So I'm giving that away to the first 5 people who message me privately at the end of this. Okay. And before we wrap up, I did just want to ask that you share this video if it helped you. And please like this video, or if you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe to my channel. All right, any more questions before we go? Okay, well, please, if you have more questions, type them in the chat, Or if you're looking at this on YouTube, just take them into a comment, and I will be checking, and I will get back to you with the responses as soon as I can. Cheers.